Okay, so in this version of Song Creator Vision, you may notice the version 0.6V alpha went up a couple of versions since the last session. The last session I encountered several bugs. There was a bug in the stat screen, in the tempo screen, there's still another bug in the tempo display. But there's been quite a number of updates from the behind the scenes and behind the curtains, however you want to say it, in that when the program first starts, there's a prompt asking a user to define 3 different directories if it's not already saved in a JSON. There's different directories are the folder that you use to have all the guitar profiles in them, and that file that's that structure of the folders is the tuning folder, the artist folder, and the artist folder has the songs, and there could be an optional folder inside of the artist folder. So for example, if you go to E standard, you go to Kyle A-bent, and then you go to 3-dimensional, and then there you go. That's optional folder inside of the artist folder. And I added the feature, the functionality of having synchronization of guitar profiles between the server and client, so I can have 2 different devices synchronized. I have a Windows computer and a Mac computer. The reason why I have those 2 different computers is because for the longest time on the Mac computer I would get better performance than the Windows computer. But that is something that I potentially not resolved, but kind of fixed to an extent. Well, what's the difference between resolved and fixed? But it turns out that when I was using a lot of resources on, because this is Pygame Delta Time. There's a game loop uses frames, and one thing I just changed like last night that I have yet to test in this version. I mean, so far my test in the Windows is good results. My Windows has a lot more accuracy with this change. The change is the time when the current time of the song. What is the current time of the song relevant? Like, you hit the start button, it starts the song, and then when you start the song, it starts a timer. There's this length of the song. The length of the song is determined by each note. I told I went through each measure and each measure's notes, and I calculated the song length by just calculating each note length individually, going through each measure and calculating each note length, and getting the note lengths in ratio to the time in seconds with correlation to the BPM. And so 7 minutes 47 seconds in this version because the tempo fluctuates. I modified it from the default tempo. That's where you got this tempo screen. You can modify it, but um, one thing that I changed is just recently is removing a whole bunch of rendering in a frame. Before I would calculate the time, I would render it in the frame. I would grab the current time of the song, I would convert a datetime format, then I would render the font. The problem is when you render the font, that takes resources. So like I removed all the rendering I could. I pre-rendered it before the game starts, so that way when I'm in the game loop, I don't render it. I just grab something that's already rendered. So the song length, I know before I start the song that the song is 7 minutes and 47 seconds long. That means for each second of that, I have to predefine inside somewhere else another dictionary. This is about 400 entries right here for 7 minutes for counting each second. And what that means is um, it looks like it looks for the current time inside a predefined dictionary and just plops it in. Same thing with the notes. The notes that are drawn and moving on the screen, they're all pre-rendered before the song even starts, and it's hopefully going to be better improvement, better FPS. I don't know if you could tell here on the Mac. It's something I was tempted to stream on my Windows actually, but excuse me, I don't know how tempted or if I should. Let me try something actually. I can open my Windows version. Let's switch tabs over. So if you look here, this is my Windows version, and we hit start. Let's look at the frame rate. Well, I guess it's not as smooth because I have OBS open, but I assure you this was better performance before I had OBS open. So it's a constant battle trying to get the perfect frame rate, I guess you could say. But on my Mac computer, the one that I'm streaming on right here, it's actually, when I see it, on my computer screen, the note movement is far smoother than it's just being displayed over here on this video. I can't even point to it, wherever it's at. So just a heads up that I see the note movements far smoother than what's being portrayed in this video, and that's something I'm constantly trying to address. So yeah, just behind the scenes stuff. When I open this, I hit the sync button. When I go to here, I hit the sync button. Go to here, it loads the right, the 5 most recent JSON stats, and then it sorts it by the most, it's based on the arrangement type that you have selected. Gives you average stats. Gives a table of every. Pygame's not written to support this functionality that I have in here, to have these tables of data and all that stuff. But we make it work. And I still have to fix something when you go into my folder. It says times played as 0 because it's not including the optional folder. It's thinking that the guitar profiles are in here when it's actually optional folders in here. Yeah, so it needs some adjustment still. But yeah, a huge number of changes behind the scenes, which I think are all functional now. Let's see. Warrior. I remember last time Warrior had something where it never saved the dynamic. I'll do it again. Let's do average tempo 84. Lowest is 50. Wow. Wait, what is the 50 BPM, 90 BPM, 70s? 50 is the lowest, and 168, wow, is the highest. I don't want it that fast. Let's just do 120 and 60. So when I come back here, tempo, dynamic, it remembers the settings. And also you can see it's looking for the same song. It's looking for NoteLog JSON, but it's looking for like the same song and the same arrangement. I updated the formats every now and then, and I try to get, it's just a whole lot. Try to get the previous formats, not error the current format and all that stuff. Well, if you can't tell, this is a huge amount of my time. Hours, years worth of, going on almost 2 years. No, October 2021, October 26, 2021, around there would be the initial start date of this project. So we're good. We're getting there. I expect like 4 years more of this project at least. I mean, there's so much that I've done in the song creator recently as well that I don't know why I'm putting off diving into, other than like writing the Guitar Pro songs. Like there's been a lot of details. I added, one thing I'm excited about is I added the leads to have the chord chants. The lead and the alt lead will now have chords rather than just plain single note. And it's interesting, I learned how to write because the way I have rhythm right now goes by a pattern, and it's just jumping around the fretboard. But the way I have the leads, it's more picky as to what note is chosen. There's a priority system based on string distance, based on fret distance between the previous note and the pending next note. And there's like different interval priorities. All these different considerations go into choosing what string and what fret to choose. And that is more picky than the rhythm because the rhythm doesn't care as much as the lead does. But the lead first picks one note and then picks the first other two if it decides to do a chord. So there's quite a lot that is going into this, quite that I don't get a lot of chance to share because the source code's private and everything I'm doing is like behind the scenes, and the only thing I could do here to show publicly on these streams, these sessions, is show the version number boost up, maybe to talk about what's going on and just demo it. So I'm in the mood for drop C at the moment, so I'm going to change my tuning over to that tempo. And actually I forgot to plug in the guitar because it's not detecting the guitar. You'll notice if it detects the guitar, if it says score 0 on the top left, the score is currently rendering on the frame because I haven't predefined up to 20,000 numbers or however many much a user may have, because I'd guess maybe 20,000 if you got a chord, because right now the chord counts pretty much as double or triple a single note because each note counts as a point. And to me that logic sounds fine because it does make sense. If you're playing a chord, you're playing more than a lead. But at the same time, a lead does have more complexity, such as bends and slides that are not quite considered at the moment. That's one thing I have to work on too, is the slides, the bends, the palm mutes, the visual aspect of it. I used to have a bend arrow. I used to have an arrow instead of for sustain. Sustain's right now just like just a block or just whatever the shape is. I can't think. But the bends, I used to have a arrow that would signify, hey, this is a bend. Or even the palm mutes, I got to think of like some way, because right now it's just like a small tiny text on the bass note. I define these notes as a bass note or sustain because when they move, these are actually two different rectangles going on. You got the bass and you got the sustain. And the trick I told it is like, okay, the bass note is the one that's going to be calculating the velocity. And it's going to be sharing that information with the sustain, so that way you don't have to calculate it twice or whatever. And then the bass note, there's extra logic here. See how the bass note is still here, but the sustain is still going? You can't delete the bass note until the sustain is done. And there's proper cleanup, different layers. You got the frets line layers, and then you got the finish line layer. So when you erase, you have to erase, you draw something at one frame, and then the next frame you erase your previous drawing, because otherwise that's going to be like a dragged blur that's just like constantly going down. So there's a lot of that stuff, cleanup, make sure the cleanup works. Like that's why if you look at the buttons and the text, they get erased when the note covers that space, but this text measure 1 tempo 73 doesn't get erased. See how the text went over on top of the note because the text is redrawn over it constantly, whereas the buttons, I don't feel the buttons as important right now to redraw it until I hit the stop button. That's why when you hit the stop button, it just redraws everything, because I don't have everything. I actually don't have everything in layers at the moment. That's why it erases one thing. So I'm just filling in the colors, like, okay, fill in the color black, or if you're in the finish line, fill in the color white. And it's very specific. So yeah, I was gonna, guitar still not detected. Let's try again. So I needed to detect my guitar, but it's not detecting it. Let's try again. Because when I play this, I like to input my guitar, and then each note is defining the frequency that I manually define. Chord shape, each single note chord, whatever. Everything that's displayed is defined, and if it's not defined, then it prints out an error log and gives you no points for attempting to play it. So there you go, score 0. So detect my guitar. See, found Scarlett Solo USB device at index 1. That's just for Windows. It's my Scarlett. For Mac, it's my Rocksmith USB cable. But hey, the print says found it, and it's score is that. So I'm going to go to the pitch screen. I'm going to go to the drop C settings, and then I'm going to wait to plug in my guitar. Once again, I don't have it set up so I could talk and play at the same time because I don't want to get an external microphone for that crap. So I'm going to come back, who knows, 10 minutes. It's going to sit here idle until then. You know the interesting thing about drop C tuning? At least in the Kill Switch Engage songs that I'm playing, I'd say over 90% of it does not include the top 3 strings. And, I mean, there's an exception, but I'd say for the most part. And to me that's weird. Like, I get that it's like, oh, look at me, I'm metal. I don't need these high frequencies. I'm all about these low frequencies. I mean, I think that's what it's about. Metal's too aggressive for those high strings. You need those dark, low strings. Oh well. And the interesting part is, yeah, it doesn't have the complexity of E standard canon rock or blue sky or mountain jam. But if you look at the score, it has a lot more score than those songs. The Kill Switch Engage score. And I may have to actually hold on. Gonna turn the sound on if it works. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the tuner screen. It's a text input with the volume threshold, and tells me if my guitar's in tune. But there's a bug with it. I have to restart the program after I use it for the first time. Otherwise, when I come back to the screen second time and beyond, it won't work correctly, which is a mystery. But I can't keep track of where I put my head. There it is. All right, playtime. Okay, that one was called C is for Chug, but that sounded more like Chug and Roll to me. So that rhythm was decent, I would think. You know, it had a lot of those open chords from the drop C. I have this saved, like, hold on, like the song creator program. You could load and save different presets for this program. Like you have different variables for each drop down, each checkbox, each input field. There's like, I don't know how many, hundreds, literally. And so I have like, that's the next thing I could add to this whole synchronize function. Add a synchronize button on this song creator aspect that synchronizes the save files between the server. Well, actually, yeah, that would work. Because right when I load this program up, it actually connects to a server. It logs you in. The only reason why you don't see me log in every time, I implemented auto login once you log into the first time. So every time I launch this program, it connects to the server, and my connection to the server has a certain path in the server as to the uploads, and it kind of mimics the client folder structure. The tuning folder, artist folder, optional folder inside the artist folder. Artist folder will have either guitar profiles or another optional directory with more guitar profiles in there. So got the synchronize. So there's different JSONs. The JSONs for each time you play a song, it logs the, like the last time you played it, the number of times you played it, average play time, things that are being displayed here. Per song, then per tuning, and then per artist basis. You can see my average play time for Allman Brothers Band, 210. Eric Clapton averaged 200. Well, I mean, I don't. These stats started recording as of July, I think. There's been different iterations of this. Like those previous, like ones from May and June aren't in the correct format anymore. I updated the format because before I didn't include the arrangement name inside of the stats. Like if you go to the stats and you look at the JSON file name, Blue Sky Mix Lead, it goes by the file name of the Guitar Pro, the arrangement selected. So if I go to a different artist, let's say Cowboy Song by Thin Lizzy, it says last played never. Oh, I didn't fix the search bar. Dang it. You know, that's funny though. I fixed this before, then I updated it just again, and now I have to fix it again. The search has to display the correct path. That's a bummer. Okay, add that to my to-do list. But yeah, so if I go to stats, I have lead selected. I go to stats, it'll display the lead. Or if I go back to the rhythm and I go to stats, it'll display the rhythm. And that's because when you go to the tempo screen, back to the lead, that's unfortunate. Didn't transition the rhythm when going to the stats screen. Wait, whoa, that's... Well, dang it. See, I'm on lead. Well then. See, there's a lot of things that I just have to go through. Each different use case, you would say. But, you know, that's hard to do when I'm updating the... This is why it's alpha, right? Alpha means data wipes. Beta is when you get more stable and it's like, hey, I don't need to wipe data anymore. I would think. So in that aspect, there's probably lots more alphas coming along because I'm still getting everything together. Like you adjust one thing and there's so many different layers to it. Like I had to update, synchronize these profile JSONs. Profiles in regards to also profiles for tempo. Like you could have different, you could adjust the tempo through this tempo screen, and this groups the measures by tempo. Measures 1 through 4, 73 BPM, color purple. You notice measures 82, 86, the same color purple, same tempo. And you could go into there each measure basis, but the tempo, this profiles, you can save different tempo settings. Oh, I just realized the program's cut off. There's the, see, so you can save different tempo profiles, and these are synchronized with the server as well. And then you use the dynamic button to look at the to make dynamic tempo based on your previous note logs, based on your real guitar input. If you hit or missed a note, each note is manually defined the frequency. Then the program picks up the frequency of the guitar and says, "Hey, is this note ready to play? Do the frequencies match?" And then it determines a hit or miss for that note. So that's why. Like if I go to, I'm just having fun with drop C. I never played this tuning before, and I modified this guitar to fit the string gauge. So I think I sacrificed this guitar to be drop C, even though we got these P90 pickups, which who knows if they match this metal because they're 22 frets and it's supposedly muddy sounding. So we're gonna work with what we got. It's still getting picked up to correct frequency in this program. No matter if it's like a Fishman Fluence or a 24 fret or a whatever you have. this program doesn't care. It just picks up the frequency. So with this, we have different stats. My average accuracy is 60%. I didn't get the average tempo. Maybe I should add average tempo because I should. I would like to know the average tempo when I go to, because the default is 182, and that's so fast. And my setting for it is 74. So 74 BPM max, 33 slowest, and I'm getting 60% accuracy. So whatever. Let's see how it goes. See, it's fun. This program makes it fun even if I'm not the best. But then again, I like sight reading because it's the only way you could play a whole song, like from start to finish. I can't memorize this crap. Are you kidding me? Nice. I'm kind of surprised at 80% accuracy, or it's 79.3 rounded up biasly. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, one thing I know that I'm trying to get better at is tempo. Just play before the note is expected, and I think that is partially to blame. I kind of blame the note height, because the note height I had originally taller, but I didn't want to add collision detection. What happens if two notes intersect? And so I just shrunk the height so that wouldn't happen. But I didn't consider the exact height. I just guesstimated the height. But that's one thing I'm thinking. Also, there's no visual cue saying, hey, note detected or note missed. I think that would help me as I go. Because right now I only have the score up top that says whether I hit or missed the note, and that's all I got. I don't have the I don't like looking up that top left corner because it takes my eyes away from the note. I got to keep my eyes focused on the note. So I was thinking, just brainstorming. I haven't actually thought of the technical aspect, but you know how there's notes down here, or fret numbers down here. Currently I have the fret numbers only display if they're having active notes. So if you look, it erases all the fret numbers and it waits for an active note, then it draws the number of the active note. I was thinking of something like perhaps coloring those. See, I'm afraid of colors because I have to associate colors with the strings, 6 strings. So if I see a green or a red in the fret, I'm going to confuse it for like that note. That's what I'm afraid of. Or I mean that string. Because I don't want to confuse myself. I have to stay focused on the 6 colors. There's, whatever colors you see that associates the frets. I mean the strings. You see red is the low E, or in this case, this, what drop C tuning, whatever that offsets to. But the 6th string, 6th string red, 5th string yellow, 4th string blue, 3rd string, what is that, orange? 2nd string, what is that? Green, and the first string is purple. So I'm afraid of. I still don't know like what exact effect to add to say, hey, note missed. Maybe a sprite that like does something. I don't know, but right now I just use it for the dynamic tempo. Like it's really cool, this dynamic tempo. Like it goes through the note stats, the note log. So it says, okay, it goes through every note, the previous 6 JSON files. I can configure it, and it goes through each measure, each note, and whatever. It says hit or missed. Okay, this if I get 75% accuracy in that, then I increase the tempo by 5% that measure. Or if I miss 50%, then I decrease it 15%. So there's different ways of how to go about this, and that's just the current way I chose that I'm trying. And I can't tell if it's too slow adjustment, too high adjustment. I think I need a lot more playthroughs because I had to get the file format correct, so that way it logs the correct file. So like I'm just having to play more. I have to keep playing more. Well, I'm doing a lot of writing and it takes a lot of energy. But if I could play some more and then get more stats going. So I'm going with the drop C. I missed a lot of the E flats because I had to change the format for Thin Lizzy. But yeah, I'll just keep playing. Yeah, I know that was brutal. Um, so for the drop C, I know the chords, so that's what I was doing. I just like playing the chords. And my two songs that I played that I made through the song creator program, Chug and Roll and C is for chugging, they're pretty decent. I had fun because I like doing certain, the rhythm is just two chords or four chords here, four chords there, eight chords there, whatever patterns, and it's just fun. I mean, sure, it could sound like just whatever, but you know, I think I like it. It's fun to play, and I actually listen back to these recordings, um, each one of them. Currently, as I'm recording 360 on my SoundCloud, I've only rendered up to 301, and on my YouTube, who knows what I'm at. Videos a day is all I know. And that's it for this session, 360. Just turn 360 and walk away, right? The old, whatever you call it. Okay, see you later. Oh no, my source code. Oh no.